CBS News coverage of the Republican National Convention continues. Here again is Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CBS News webcast here in St. Paul, Minnesota, site of the Republican National Convention. A big night for Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, who gave, by all accounts, a well-crafted speech that showed how she was tough, feisty, and could compete with the boys. At least that's the image that she tried to project. Byron Pitts is down with some delegates, and I know he has some reaction from Sarah Palin's speech. Byron, what are they saying on the floor?
Hey, Katie, I'm over with the Alaska delegation, where they're both tears and great pride here. They think that Governor Palin did what she had to do, delivered a great speech. With me now is Kim Skipper. She's from Eagle River, Alaska. Ms. Skipper, what did you think of the governor's speech?
Her speech was fantastic. I'm so proud of Sarah. I'm so proud to be in Alaska.
What do you think America learned that you already knew about Governor Palin?
America learned that we just saw the first female vice president of the United States of America.
All righty. Thank you very much. Katie, a second note here. Shortly after Governor Palin finished her speech, I got an email message from a big money donor in the Democratic Party from New Jersey. Her email said simply, "Wow, we've got our hands full." Katie, back to you.
All right, Byron Pitts, thanks very much. Well, we want to get reaction from many of our astute analysts here tonight, and we, of course, want to get answers to your email questions as well. So let me just kind of do a round robin if I could. Bob Schieffer, would you like to elaborate a little bit more? You said that you thought she was really speaking to her base. Have you changed your mind? And if so, how does she really convince those who are not already converted? Did she start to do that tonight?
Well, I do think she was speaking to the base, and I think the first thing John McCain has to do, the weakness that John McCain has had, is the Republican base has not always been for him. He has been the maverick. He's been the guy for big change, but she hit all those hot buttons tonight that really, I think just the fact that she made a good speech, I think that's what's going to help John McCain with the base. It's going to underline that he made a good choice, because as we get into this campaign, Katie, John McCain's judgment, did he properly vet this woman, and so on, those are going to be some of the issues that Democrats are going to go after them on. So I think by picking her, by the reaction she got tonight, I think he has flipped. He's now the darling of the evangelicals and the right side of the Republican Party, where he has always been weakest, and I think that's step one. I think that's part. Now, obviously, as both Jeff and Dan are saying, this was a speech that will go beyond that, if in fact. But I think the first thing he had to do was solidify that base, and that's what I mean when I say that.
All right. Well, with all due respect to all you guys, I'll get to you in a minute, Jeff, Dan, and Joe. But I want to bring some females into this conversation. Joining us tonight is Barbara Comstock, a Republican strategist, as well as Katrina vanden Heuvel, who, of course, is editor-in-chief of The Nation. Katrina, you're at CBS headquarters in New York, are you not?
Good evening, Katie.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me start with Barbara, if I could. What's your reaction?
I thought it was a home run. I mean, this was a pit bull in pumps. She did a great job. She has a reformer spirit. I think the thing that John McCain is most known for, just in general, is reform. And she came in and explained in detail how she tackled ethics reform, how she challenged the big boys and big oil and everybody in Arkansas, how she sold that luxury jet on eBay, and how, as an executive, she performed and she delivered. I mean, this was, a woman in charge, and it's incredibly impressive.
Katrina, it seems to me that part of her speech, and much of it, was spent trying to be relatable, trying to kind of project the image. Listen, I'm a real person. I'm a small-town girl. I'm a hockey mom. To quote a former president, I feel your pain. Do you think that will resonate with some women and undecided voters who may have hesitations about Barack Obama? How effective do you think this will be?
Well, Katie, I'm old-fashioned. I believe in issues, and I think this is a big election about big issues. And while her story, Sarah Palin's story, is compelling. I mean, it's, my daughter, my 17-year-old daughter, has given up on reality TV. She doesn't need it. She has this election and campaign. At the same time, on the core issues so central to millions of women in this country, as Sarah Palin talked about, every woman should have the opportunity to go through every door. Well, you don't if you adopt the agenda of John McCain and Sarah Palin on issues like paid leave or choice. I mean, this woman is a reactionary when it comes to core social issues. That's why she's rallied and solidified the conservative social base at this convention, Katie.
And do you think that, I mean, after all, policy does trump biography at some point, right, Barbara? I mean, do you think that her story will only go so far in terms of promoting her candidacy?
She was talking about the issues as well as telling her story. She was talking about those kitchen table issues that she, more than I think any candidate who's dealing with these day-to-day things, really can relate to, because she's having not only to balance the budget of Alaska, she's balancing her own, working with her family, with a large family, juggling all these things. But she was talking about the real issues and policies, and I think that's going to be a big part of why this team is successful. You can send her into blue-collar area. I mean, she talked about those small towns that have been derided by other candidates as bitter, gun-toting, Bible-clinging areas, and she's speaking to those people. I was sitting in a box where there were a number of Hillary Clinton people there saying this woman resonated with them because of the real life she's leading. This is not a celebrity. She didn't start running for office to be somebody. She was running for office to do something and get it done, and she's delivered, and she delivered tonight, and I think she's
she
2
gave
for
a good,
2 now.
She gave a good speech. She gave a good speech, and no one expected that she would do anything less than give a hell of a speech. I mean, there is a reason her nickname is Sarah Barracuda, and one has to admire her life story, but at the same time, there was a subtext in this speech, Katie, and all night, a kind of ugly, insidious, if you're not with us, you're anti-American, and it is hypocritical and ludicrous that the Republican Party of John McCain is now taking up bashing the corporate elite media when John McCain has said the media is my base, and this man has not he's received adoring coverage until recently. And what is the role of the press except to raise tough questions about political candidates of all parties? So I think what's going on here is like Pat Buchanan, it's like Spiro Agnew of 1968. It's a right-wing cultural populism which is going to rally a base. The charge that the Democrats are elitists is ridiculous when you look at what has gone on in this country in the last 8 years. 0.01% of this country, the wealthiest, have received more than a quarter of the growth of this economy. So I think we need to look hard. We need to look beyond the lifetime reality show television that the Republicans are so good at putting on. They're great at political marketing. They're great at campaigning. But governing, look at the state of this country and look what could be if the Republicans are taken out of office after 8 years of ruinous plunder, and that is what this election should be about, not Sarah Palin's children.
That's what she was talking about, how she cut budgets, how she took on the establishment, how she shook things up.
She was for that bridge before she was against it.
And she doubled down on that reformer spirit.
Alaska is the 6th largest recipient of federal aid per capita.
Katrina, you know
who could be anti-government when you get that kind of money from the federal government?
Okay, ladies, I feel like I'm on a cable news show. It's
I get very passionate about this, Katie. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you do, and it's good that you both do, because it's good to hear your points of view. Joe Trippi, what do you think? I mean, I'm interested in what Barbara said, that Hillary Clinton supporters were wowed by this, but you say there's a real difference between sisters and Sarahs when it comes to female voters. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, one of the interesting things is when you look at the Democratic convention, Hillary Clinton brought the convention to its feet, appealing to the sisterhood of the traveling pantsuits, I think is how she put it. You just saw, Sarah Palin did not, I mean, it's not the way she talks. They're talking totally different language here. She's more, it seemed to me, trying to track sort of almost, literally the woman in a small town in a place like in Pennsylvania that Joe Biden would be targeting. And so I think it's in an interesting way she's sort of fighting Joe Biden for the lunch bucket crowd in a way that Hillary Clinton doesn't talk about. It's not the women that Hillary Clinton was attracting to her campaign.
Okay, I'm going to get to some web questions.
That's who Hillary Clinton was actually. That's why she was beating Barack Obama in all those small towns. She was
her blue-collar appeal.
She had. There is a subsection of Hillary voters that blue-collar vote. It's not all of them. I understand the Upper East Side of New York, Hillary supporters aren't going to be, but that lunch bucket group, a lot of working women, blue-collar families, this is somebody who is going to appeal to them, and those people often are culturally conservative. They don't represent the kind of views that Katrina's talking about tonight.
I'm a little worried, Katie, if I could just jump in. I do think that, the Economist cover last week was Bring Back the Real John McCain, and I think John McCain is at risk here of losing those independents and moderates that he hoped to pick up, because I do think Sarah Palin brings a very socially conservative, ideological agenda. And I think there are women in Pennsylvania, as Barbara speaks about, who may have a 17-year-old daughter, and they want her to have the choice, a decision that Sarah Palin talks about her daughter having. And if Sarah Palin imposes her personal agenda, no abortion, even in the case of incest or rape, that was not John McCain's policy.
Katrina, having said that, there are some female voters who are not single-issue voters.
No, I know, and I understand that, Katie, but I'm talking about those women who might have opted for John McCain but are a little worried because it does seem the party is going again back in a much more socially reactionary Karl Rove direction, when John McCain was a maverick many years ago, and he's flipped so many times, he's not, which is why the Economist cover, not a left-wing magazine, asks, bring back the real John McCain.
Let me get some emails and some web questions, because we've got some interesting ones. Stacy from Effingham, Kansas, and Bob, I thought maybe you want to respond to this. As a quiet observer from the background of Kansas, the finest move in this campaign that I've witnessed is the introduction of Sarah Palin. I ask this question: at what point does politics stand on its own, or will the personal life always be a contributing factor to one's success? Bob, you want to take that on?
Yes, I think in the end it's her position on the issues that will count. I mean, a good personality goes a long way. John McCain has a very compelling personality. People like John McCain, and likability is a big part of politics. But in the end, there are going to be great choices to make in this campaign. These candidates have very different approaches, and I think in the end, how she stands on the various issues that we've been talking about tonight will be the things in the end that people will make their decision on. Can I ask one other question? Because the one thing that kind of puzzled me tonight, Rudy Giuliani brought up the part that Barack Obama was a community organizer. And when he did, it got sort of a laugh. And then I noticed that the governor, in her speech, mentioned community organizer. And she said she'd been a mayor, which was a community organizer with responsibility. I wonder, is this why are we hearing this about community organizer? I thought those were people that help poor people, but perhaps they're going to try to make that into some, I don't know why this keeps popping up.
Well, let's talk to Dan Bartlett about that, because he might know the strategy. I mean, they derided Barack Obama's years as a community organizer as if that hardly gives him the experience to lead the country. And Sarah Palin did say, being a mayor is like a community organizer with responsibilities. Is this trying to build, Dan, on the argument that Barack Obama lacks experience, and in fact Sarah Palin, according to the Republicans, has more executive experience, if you will?
Absolutely. This is twofold, Katie. First and foremost, they had to get on offense the last 48 hours when it comes to Governor Palin. They've been on defense on the issue of her experience. They felt like tonight they had to take it to them. And this issue about, and you heard a lot about it in Denver, about the community organizer profile. You didn't hear very much about him being a professor at law, which I was actually surprised they didn't accentuate here in these speeches today and used to great effect. But make no mistake about it, they feel like in order to win this element of this debate, they've got to go after his experience or his lack thereof. That is really the referendum in this race, is to make sure that all the people going in to vote in November realize that in their case, or in their minds, that Barack Obama is not ready to be President of the United States.
And we should mention, as we're talking here tonight, you guys, the roll call for the presidential nomination is going on behind us, in case people at home might wonder. This is an interesting question, and Barbara and Katrina, maybe you can both address this, or really anybody who wants it. Randy from Iowa writes, Almost all polls continue to indicate the leading issue on minds of Americans is the economy. Obama addressed the issue head-on at the DNC, but McCain almost avoids the subject. Will McCain and the Republicans ever address the economic issue, or will they confirm Obama's charge that they have lost touch with America? I think this is a Barack Obama supporter, but how important, Barbara, is it for John McCain in his speech tomorrow to talk? How important is it for him to talk about the economy? He has said at times, one time, that it's not his strong suit. How important will it be for him to communicate that he can get a handle on this struggling economy?
Well, I think you will be hearing a lot about that. And tonight, Sarah Palin talked about, of course, the number one economic issue, energy, and how are we going to become energy independent. So we're going to bring down gas prices, home heating prices, one of the biggest bills that we're all paying for, and how that drives the rest of the economy and makes it more difficult to create jobs when we've seen the huge costs that we've seen. So that is not only an important economic issue, it's an important national security issue. And I think tomorrow night you will continue to hear John McCain talk about his tax plans, because as Fred Thompson pointed out last night, Barack Obama's tax plan is going to drive up costs for everybody. You can't say, hey, it's only that 1% of you that are going to pay more and that it's not going to have a ripple effect. You don't raise taxes in a soft economy. That is disastrous. JFK understood that you don't do that.
And Katie, could I just say, I do think part of the reason for picking Sarah Palin is that the campaign understood it needed, quote, a game changer. And if you look at some of the reporting, one reason they didn't pick Mitt Romney, for example, was because of the worry that it would cement the view that John McCain is out of touch with the many houses. He doesn't know how many he has. But more seriously, John McCain has voted with George W. Bush 90% of the time, and so it's more of the same old. It's tax cuts for the very rich, corporations, more deregulation, which has led to the terrible housing crisis we're in. So it's not clear what answers the Republicans have, which is why so little, shockingly little, has been said about the economy at this convention so far.
And in fact, Barbara, let me ask you, my understanding is Barack Obama wants to raise taxes on those who make over $250,000 a year, but his middle-class tax cut is actually more than John McCain's.
Well, he's actually eliminating the Bush tax cut. So say if you have a family with 2 kids, he's going to eliminate about $1,000 of your tax cut, then give you back some of the Bush tax cut. So he's not giving you a tax cut overall. He's changed his plan over time because initially he did want to raise the Social Security cap on everybody, which would be the largest tax increase in history. But as it is, his increases on business taxes, Social Security taxes, and income taxes would be the largest tax increase in history.
Let me get Jeff Greenfield's reaction to the Obama campaign's reaction. Jeff, let me read this to you. It's from Brian Goldsmith's BlackBerry, and I haven't mentioned Brian's name the last couple of webcasts, so there you go. Quote, The speech that Governor Palin gave was well delivered, but it was written by George Bush's speechwriter and sounds exactly like the same divisive partisan attacks we've heard from George Bush for the last 8 years. If Governor Palin and John McCain want to define change as voting with George Bush 90% of the time, that's their choice. But we don't think the American people are ready to take a 10% chance on change, said Bill Burton, Obama campaign spokesman.
Quoting his boss.
All right, what do you think, Jeff?
I think if that's what the Obama campaign's response is to this, their campaign is in a lot of trouble. There's no question that George Bush's unpopularity is the single biggest motive power behind a possible Democratic victory. But what you heard tonight, and what Republicans have been very good at for most of the last 20-something years, the Bill Clinton years accepted, is to define their cause, whatever the policy implications, however much the people at the top get the lion's share of the tax cuts, in a way that middle Americans resonate with. And the fact of the matter is, if we look at American politics over the years, and both people on the left and right have argued this, it is not true that issues trump culture. Culture has trumped issues, which is why the only Democrat that has won, Bill Clinton, is the Democrat who could resonate with that culture. This speech was aimed squarely, not at rich people, and not just at the Republican conservative base, but at the small business owners and the people trying to make a living on taxes. Those are the people Democrats used to win without breaking a sweat. It's the people Democrats have by and large stopped winning. And the fact that Sarah Palin was able to fold in a lot of ridicule. I want to get to this community organizer thing. There are two elements of the community organizer word. One is it isn't really a job, and the other, quite bluntly, is it's what happens in big cities. Suburbs and small towns tend not to have community organizers, and in this sense, it is drawing a line on the culture wars that Republicans have largely won. And as I say, if the Obama campaign simply thinks it can say George Bush has been a failed president, that's not going to work, because one of the things that Governor Palin did tonight, and one of the things that Senator McCain will do tomorrow, is to say not 4 more years. I believe they have to close with the McCain-Palin campaign in a much more direct way, much more concrete way. And by the way, a little humor from the Obama campaign wouldn't hurt. The use of humor in this speech is one of the most effective tools Governor Palin used. So that's what I think, Katie.
Okay, Katrina, how do you think the Obama campaign can advance their argument? At some point, they have to move on from 4 more years of George Bush, do they not? And give concrete reasons why their ticket is better than this one?
But they have, Katie, and though I agree with Jeff that you need to combine values and issues in order to trump the kind of culture war politics that the Republicans are so adept at in campaigning, the Obama campaign has the ability to speak to a different America, an America that is hopeful, that is optimistic, but is about investing and rebuilding in a country and re-engaging with a world that is eager for a different America and is also concrete in terms of how it will bring back jobs to communities, what it will do for people in towns and cities. And I think that you've heard that from Obama, and that tonight with humor, and not just humor, Jeff, I would argue with a little bit of a brutal kind of skewer and cheap shots, too many tonight, jugular, that you can find a way to engage, and Obama's been very good at that. But I think the community organizing, if I might just say, the civilizing advances of this country, labor rights, women's rights, civil rights, have come from those working below. And the idea of change from below, which is truly anti-establishment, is something Obama has spoken to compellingly and brought into the system, like Bobby Kennedy and John F. Kennedy, millions of young people, of those who have been alienated from a political process that has been cronyized and calcified. So I think to denigrate community organizing is to spit on what has been great about America. And also, finally, the subtext in the community organizing is race. Cities, race. Let's not forget this is the political party which has capitalized on race in ugly ways. And that scene in St. Paul is so white that, as Harold Meyerson in the Washington Post wrote this morning, it's almost un-American.
Okay, let me move on and do an email question. This is Eric from New York. How can the McCain campaign and the Palin family say that the pregnancy of Bristol Palin is a private matter, but then schedule a photo op of John McCain shaking hands with Levi Johnston, the teenage father-to-be? How is this not blatant exploitation of a very personal situation, and how is this not directly at odds with the McCain's camp's charges against the media? I mean, Dan, doesn't he have a point? I mean, they can't have it both ways, can they?
Look, somebody who's worked for a president who was very concerned about the coverage of his own 2 daughters, and I know this goes back to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and now as we see Barack Obama as well, who has struggled with this very saying his kids are off limits but brings them to the convention. It's trying to find the right balance. Yes, they're on public display, but should we go through the gritty details of all of the different travails of their lives, particularly the minor lives of their children? It's a tough one. It's a tough call. Whether it was right for him to be here or not, I think a lot of people just have to make their own judgment on that. But you see both of these candidates struggling with that. And it's quite striking, really, I guess, because it's the first time in a long time that we have 2 tickets that have young kids right there at their sides. And I think this is going to be a challenge for them, not only during the rest of this campaign, but for whoever wins when they're in the White House.
Esther from New Jersey writes, do you feel that the mainstream media is treating John McCain and Sarah Palin unfairly? I'm very interested in hearing your responses, but I want them to be short. Okay? Barbara.
Well, I think the mainstream media, CBS I will have to accept. I said probably a lot of MSNBC, NBC has been a problem. It's because she's a conservative woman. Often, like, if it's Clarence Thomas, a conservative African American, or a conservative Hispanic, gets a particular scrutiny that not everyone else did. So I think that's part of it, because you're going against the orthodoxy of all of this, whether it's gender politics or race politics, and you're thinking for yourself, and that upsets the apple cart a bit. And the fact is, women think differently. Women do not all think in the same way, just like African Americans don't all think the same way, and Hispanics don't. So I think that's something that media needs to start understanding and treat her accordingly. But the thing is, you saw, she's a big girl. She's going to give as good as she gets. And she's competing. She's gone up against the big boys before, and you're not going to hear any whining.
Experience and policy issues, though, are fair game, of course.
Sure, and she talked about them tonight, and she will continue to.
Okay, Joe Trichy, what's your answer to that question?
There's a reason all this coverage happened. It's because somebody was dumping opposition research on her as fast as they could get it out there. Democrats wanted to define this woman and wanted to make her French, and make her unacceptable, make this pick by McCain to be, radical and reckless. And in doing that, what actually helped happen is you make it a bigger spectacle, make more people want to see who this woman is, and set the expectations so low that she exceeded them. And so that's why I think tonight no one can sit back and say anything but she performed better than most people expected. She passed this first test. There are going to be many others, and I said it earlier. She's going to have to go out there and face the press on a lot of questions and face Joe Biden.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Joe, but Dan Bartlett, the vice presidential debate, a month from tomorrow. I mean, it's a whole different ball of wax, is it not?
Look, I've been there. When Governor of the state of Texas was going to do his first debates, there was no more tense period than in that preparation period, and she'll have to do that while she's out on the campaign trail hustling all around the country. No question about it, there's been a disproportionate amount of coverage of Barack Obama, but also a political star was born this week, and you just saw it on this stage, and I think the coverage may just balance out a bit, because this is a force now that has to be reckoned with by the national media, and I think the American people are going to stay very tuned in to what the McCain-Palin ticket. And remember, this is the whole purpose of this decision in the first place, was to have a game changer. They have accomplished that goal. The McCain campaign's got to be happy tonight.
And real quickly, Katrina, I hope you'll be a little more brief than my other colleagues. What do you think about mainstream media treatment?
What I think, Katie, is you've spoken out eloquently. You've also been the victim of media sexism. I think that's a real problem in our country. But in this case, I really do think that there is the need for attention to issues and policies and where Sarah Palin stands. And I think that is legitimate. I think the whole issue of experience, just briefly, I think that's overblown. Cheney, Rumsfeld had experience. I think it's about judgment and ideas. And that's where the media coverage should be. Maybe I'm idealistic, but I still am old-fashioned and hope that that's where it'll go. And no media sexism.
All right. On that note, Katrina vanden Heuvel, Barbara Comstock, ladies, thank you for joining me tonight. It was fun to talk to you. Byron Pitts, are you still in the Alaska delegation?
Hey, Katie, I am. I'm with Mel Krotzi.
Oh, wait, Byron. Okay, yes. Go ahead, Byron, real quickly.
Sure. What do you think the country learned about your governor that you've known for a long time?
I think they learned that she's a very genuine, real person. She's strong. She's very knowledgeable. She has tackled tough issues, and she can hold her own. She'll make a great partner for John McCain.
I noticed that not once did she mention President Bush by name, as best I recall. She didn't talk about this last 8 years. What do you make of that?
I don't make anything of it. We're here to talk about the next 4 years. The future. She is the face of the future. She's fresh and she's dynamic, and she's going to do a good job for us.
Now, you said at the last Republican convention you two sat near each other?
Yes, we did. Just by chance, but I've known Sarah now for a number of years, from when she was mayor of Wasilla. I worked for the legislature at that time, and she would come to Juneau on various city issues, and I got to know her there.
Okay, and tonight America got to know her a bit better. Katie, back to you.
All right, Byron, sorry I didn't mean to cut you short. You know, I thought Rick was telling me to wrap. Rick Kaplan, our executive producer, who always tells me the World Wide Web is on the phone telling us to wrap. So I'm not going to wrap yet because I have a special guest I'm very excited about. But I want to say thank you. Hey, Dan and Joe, are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Listen, I know you probably have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to let you guys go. And
Bless
I just
you.
want to bless you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks so much for your insights as always. And Bob Schieffer, Bob, are you still there?
I'm here, Katie.
I'm sorry. I didn't forget about you, Bob. Thank you guys for hanging in there. I know we had a lot of guests tonight, so I appreciate it, but I'm sure you want to go get a little shut-eye, as they say. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Thank
Hey,
you
man.
guys.
How are you?
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Good to
much.
see you.
And Dan Bartlett schmoozing with somebody on the convention floor. I'm here with Mo Rocca. Mo, how do I introduce you? Because you are on a lot of different shows. You do Tonight Show stuff.
That's right. I do CBS Sunday Morning
Yes, you
with
do.
our pal Charlie Osgood. I'm a gadfly. I'm a hanger-on. I'm a stalker. I'm actually a convention groupie. This
You
is
are?
like my Comic-Con.
Okay,
for
so
political geeks.
all right, now you were funny when I saw you earlier today talking
And now
about
I've lost it.
well, I don't know yet. You were pretty funny just then, but talking about sort of all the developments in this Sarah Palin story, the drama, if you will. In fact, you called it something.
Well, no, I've become obsessed with the family. I'm reading everything I can about this family, and the thrill for me. First of all, I did think her speech was electrifying, and just as an event, as a speech, I mean, I can't imagine all that she's gone through over the last week, and then getting up there and giving that speech. I mean, that's real grit. Oh my God! I mean, after forget the whole thing about whether how rampant the sexism was. She was so fetishized during this last week, and to get up there and do that is pretty extraordinary. But anyway, my favorite part was at the end when she. Oh, by the way, and I thought it was really interesting that she invoked Harry Truman, because Harry Truman had only met FDR twice, according to the McCullough biography, before he became vice president. So I wonder if that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, did you just pull that out of your hat?
I
or
did.
you...
I have a mind like a steel trap. I know the capital of every country in the world. If you ask me a country right now, I can tell you. Yeah,
Romania.
Bucharest.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember when they used to have
Haiti?
all the gymnasts? Port-au-Prince. Right. Okay.
Azerbaijan.
Baku. They have a subway. Isn't that interesting if there's a subway in Azerbaijan?
That is
so weird.
Wow.
I mean,
fascinating.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Go ahead.
Anyway, no. At the end, to see them all up there, to see all the girls, Bristol, Willow,
Piper,
and then of course
Trig, Drac.
All of them. I mean, it was like the cast of Alaska 90210. It's amazing. I mean, these names, you can't beat them.
Have you checked out the MySpace page of Levi Johnston?
Oh, my God, it's
now,
amazing.
I think the McCain campaign, seriously, I mean, I do think it does raise questions about the vetting process, because that thing was up there. It was laced with profanities. It said he was in, well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It said he was in a relationship, but he didn't want to have children. You would think he would want to remove that MySpace profile, no?
Well, that's true. He could always say it's a fake one. I bet you have fake MySpace profiles.
I think I do, actually.
I bet you have a few.
I haven't checked them out, but you're probably right.
No, I know.
I don't think his was fake, though.
No, that was not a fake one. That is true. But here's my thing. I actually think, in a weird way, the tabloidization of this whole family and situation is actually a real boon to them. I mean, short of actually committing a big crime or doing something really skeevy and sordid, when was Bill Clinton at his highest approval rating? During the Lewinsky scandal, when he became a tabloid megastar. I'm serious. Most people don't follow politics day to day, but they love those tabloids, and they become addicted to these personalities. And tabloid superstars are, for the most part, at least sympathetic, oftentimes really likable. They're never, unlikable. I think John Edwards, his time as a leading man in the tabloids is going to be really short-lived.
What is the capital of Guinea-Bissau?
The capital of Guinea-Bissau is Bissau, but the capital of Guinea is Conakry. They're two different countries.
It's a Ouagadougou.
No, the capital of Ouagadougou is the capital of Burkina Faso, which used to be Upper Volta. Did somebody just give you? Rick, come on. Get on it. So my fantasy is
that was Chris Dinan, a producer in New York. Mo.
I hope he's not on the international beat.
You're really scaring me. Are you like an idiot savant?
Yeah, I'm just an idiot.
No, you're not.
You have to go to my
what?
No, my blog. Sorry, my video blog, because I do. I'm learning how to do a back handspring because I'm learning gymnastics.
Seriously?
And I'm really, really close to doing unassisted.
Really? I used to be able to do that.
Is it right?
I used to be a gymnast.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I have to be.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
As Brian Gumbel used to say, why?
Well, I'll tll you why. Well, because when I was 12 years old, I tried to do a back handspring and I fell on my head. And
that explains it.
And that explains everything. It all comes back to this. And that really freaked me out. And so I'm determined to make it happen. And in my gymnastics class, there's a 40-something-year-old Teamster. I mean, with all due respect to the Teamsters, and this guy can do a round-off back handspring into a back tuck. And if he can do it, I can.
Wow.
And look.
Try an aerial. That's a no-handed cartwheel.
I can do an aerial. I can do a one-handed cartwheel. I don't believe you. I can do a one-handed cartwheel with
I can see this on your blog?
Yeah. Look how flexible I am. All my joints do this. I can do a one-handed cartwheel with a glass of water in the free hand and not spill a drop.
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah, I could actually do it here if we had a little bit more room.
Okay.
I'm serious. But, no. And also, how many broken bones collectively does the Palin family have? Because remember, Todd Palin broke his arm when he was thrown 70 feet from his snowmobile during the Iron Dog competition.
How do you know this?
I'm obsessed with the family. Okay. So Sarah Palin broke her fingers when they went salmon fishing. Okay. And then the star of the family, Levi, who was chewing gum at the end of the speech, he got up there. He's like, I'm going to go up to the MSNBC booth and kick some ass because those guys have been condescending to us. So anyway, and
the hottie hunky,
totally. And you could totally hear Bristol like saying, Levi, don't do it. This is a really important moment for my mom. Don't do it. I got to get out of this monkey suit and get back on the ice.
What are you
Bristol.
on, Mo?
No, but don't you see it? It's Alaska 90210. I'm addicted to this family.
Suriname.
Okay, the capital Suriname. Oh, it's one of my favorite, Paramaribo, and I think it has a nice beat. Paramaribo.
What about Djibouti?
Paramaribo.
What about Djibouti?
The capital of Djibouti is Djibouti. Like, people do that because they think you're going to get confused. If you
when I used to do the opening ceremonies at the Olympics, I'd say to Bob Costas, "What country's coming next, Bob?" "You bet, Djibouti." I use that every year.
I love that.
It works, doesn't it? All right, Mo, you were so funny. I love talking to you.
Yeah, it's really
We used
fun.
to make beautiful music together on the Today Show.
That's right.
What happened? Did they not like you there?
After you left, they said, you don't have your protector anymore. Get the hell out of here.
That's not true.
It's true. All right. Last thing, that Levi played 24 hockey games on a cracked shin. I mean, I'm sorry, look, let's set politics aside. I mean, this woman and her family know how to kick butt. I mean, most of Capitol Hill, you know this, you can't say it, but they're hacks. Come on, they're hacks. And, I don't know. I thought it's really interesting the way she used really short sentences, because you're not going to beat Obama with rhetorical flourish.
Can I mention one other thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, she
I'm trying to
ad-libbed.
be serious. She
really?
ad-libbed the line, and I was in the Michigan delegation.
But she also, they spelled nuclear NEWCLEAR in the script, because I think she mispronounced it when she gave her initial speech, which I thought was interesting. But what I was going to mention is she ad-libbed a joke. That hockey mom's
yes,
joke, complete ad-lib.
Yes.
What's the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick.
Yes. And then the other thing, do you know what Chuck and Sally, her parents, the bumper sticker they have on their pickup truck? Vegetarianism. Old Indian word for bad hunters. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and she can gut a moose, as we heard last night. So you're impressed.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, you should be able to split your ticket and vote Obama Palin, because they're the two most exciting people. I love the idea that the Palins go on a family trip and they go to hunt down Osama bin Laden. Okay, sorry, I know it's kind of dark. And so they're all they camp out and everything. And then Piper is she has him within shot, but she's out of firearms, so she has to use a slingshot.
Okay, Mo, thanks for coming by. I'm exhausted.
This is just on the web, isn't it?
Yeah, it is on the web.
Because everybody's moving to the web.
No, don't you think we're in the 21st century here at CBS News? I'm happy to report.
But you'll have me on the TV thing.
Okay, and really, no more espresso for you. Seriously. You're so hyper.
You have to watch me do the back handspring, though.
Okay,
sorry,
all right.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
that's it.
Yeah, that's
no,
fair.
you can stay here.
Okay.
That does it for our CBS News webcast. My glasses just dropped. I'm Katie Couric along with Mo Rocca. Thank you guys for watching.
And we'll see everybody at the bar at the Hyatt.
Bye.